The accident asterisk. The night sky above the alien world was full of strange lights. Purple storms danced in the distance, and 2 moons shone down like cold eyes. Somewhere under those moons, a human ship screamed through the air, falling out of control. Inside the small cockpit, one young man was fighting for his life. His name was Daniel Hayes, a mechanic turned pilot who never wanted adventure in the first place. He only wanted a safe trip across the system. But the universe has a cruel sense of humor. Warning, hull breach, oxygen low. The computer's voice was calm, but Daniel's heart was not. He pulled on every lever, pressed every glowing button, but the ship had already given up. With a final cough of fire and smoke, the engine died. The metal bird dropped like a rock dot. The jungle below was alive with sound. Alien animals cried out. Trees taller than skyscrapers shook under the wind. Then dash impact got the ship smashed into the ground. Metal tore. Flames lit the night like a sudden sunrise. Daniel's head hit the console. For a moment, the world went black dot when he woke. Silence pressed on him like heavy stone. The fire still burned around the broken shell of his ship. Pain stabbed his ribs every time he tried to move. His visor was cracked, and his breathing mask barely worked, but he was alive. Somehow, he crawled out of the wreck, hands shaking, knees weak. The ground was soft and glowing, covered with strange blue moss. Every step left behind a trail of light. The jungle smelled of smoke, honey, and something sharp like metal. Daniel looked up at the alien sky and whispered, "Where the hell am I?" He knew he could not stay by the burning wreck. Smoke would attract predators or worse, intelligent locals. His best chance was to move, even if his legs felt like breaking. Step by step, he limped deeper into the glowing jungle. The deeper he went, the stranger the world became. Huge flowers opened and closed like mouths. Insects with crystal wings buzzed around his helmet. Somewhere, far away, he heard a roar that did not sound friendly at all. Then he saw her. At first, he thought she was just another hallucination from blood loss. A tall, silver-skinned figure stood in the clearing, her body glowing softly in the moonlight. Her hair was long and dark, falling like water. Her eyes, huge and shining, looked at him with both fear and wonder. She was beautiful, yes, but she was also hurt. She leaned on a tree, her chest rising with shallow breaths. Her hands trembled as if she was fighting something inside her body. Daniel's instincts kicked in. He was no doctor, but he knew what pain looked like. He stumbled forward, raising his hands to show he meant no harm. Hey, easy. I won't hurt you." Of course, she could not understand his words, but she did not run. She only watched, eyes half closed, as he came closer. Her skin looked fever hot, and her breathing was uneven. Daniel remembered something his grandmother once said. Sometimes the oldest cure is the human touch. He did not have medicine. He did not have tools. But he did have his hands. Slowly, carefully, he reached out. He touched her shoulder, trying to comfort her. She flinched at first, but then relaxed. Her skin felt strange, almost electric under. His fingers. Daniel, unsure what else to do, began to rub gently across her shoulders and back, just like he used to do for his tired mother after long work shifts. It was a simple massage, nothing more. But then, something impossible happened. The alien woman gasped. Her glowing eyes widened. The light under her skin brightened, spreading across her body like fire racing through paper. Her breath deepened, no longer weak but strong. Daniel pulled back, shocked. "What the?" The woman straightened her back, standing tall and powerful now. She looked at him not with weakness, but with awe. Her lips moved, forming words in a language he did not know, but Daniel understood the feeling behind them. She thought something sacred had just happened. Before he could step away, before he could explain that he was only trying to help, shadows moved in the jungle. More figures appeared, dozens of them, all tall, all glowing, all with the same shining eyes. They saw the woman standing strong again. They saw Daniel standing beside her, his hands still trembling. And then they all dropped to their knees. Daniel froze, heart racing. Wait, no, this isn't what it looks like. But the aliens bowed their heads, chanting a word together. A word he did not understand, but one that echoed with heavy meaning. He looked from their faces to the woman's shining eyes. Whatever had just happened, it was more than healing, more than luck. To them, Daniel Hayes was no longer just a lost mechanic. To them, he was something far more dangerous. A god. The awakening. The jungle was silent. Too silent. Daniel Hayes stood frozen, chest tight, hands still tingling from where he had touched the alien woman. Around him, a dozen figures knelt in the glowing moss, their heads bowed low, voices rising in strange, rhythmic chants. He didn't understand the language, but he understood one thing very clearly. They thought he was something more. His voice cracked as he tried to laugh it off. Hey, guys. No, I'm just a mechanic. You've got the wrong human. But the aliens weren't listening. Their eyes stayed locked on him, glowing with fierce belief. The woman he had helped, the one who had nearly collapsed minutes earlier, now stood tall, radiant, her silver skin shimmering like molten metal under the twin moons. She pointed to him, her voice carrying strength and command. The word she spoke cut through the chants, repeated again and again by the others. Ankai. Daniel had no clue what it meant. God? Savior? Fertility bringer? Whatever it was, the weight of the word pressed down on him like a mountain. He swallowed hard. I really need subtitles right now. The alien city, before he could even think of running, strong but gentle hands grabbed his arms. The aliens were not rough. They treated him carefully, almost reverently, like he was a sacred object made of fragile glass. The woman he had healed walked beside him, never taking her shining eyes off his face. She said something soft, almost like a prayer, and the others nodded. Daniel tried again. Listen, lady. I don't know what happened, but I didn't mean to do anything. Her lips curved into a smile. Whether she understood him or not, he couldn't tell. They moved through the jungle as a group, and soon Daniel saw light ahead, not the wild glow of plants, but something structured, something made. His breath caught, rising out of the mountains, was a city of crystal and stone, carved into impossible shapes. Towers spiraled toward the sky, glowing veins of energy running through them like blood. Bridges of silver metal stretched across waterfalls. The air hummed with strange energy, and distant bells rang in haunting tones. Thousands of figures filled the streets, their glowing eyes turning as one when the procession entered the gates. And when they saw him, they fell to their knees. The sound of their chanting shook his bones. Daniel whispered, "Oh, crap." The throne hall they brought him, to a great hall within the largest tower. The walls pulsed with living light, and carvings of ancient battles lined the ceiling. At the far end was a throne made of crystal shards, sharp and beautiful, glowing with a power he could almost feel in his teeth. The woman he had helped stood at his side, speaking quickly to armored guards. Her tone was sharp, commanding, but Daniel could sense the excitement under her words. She was telling them what he had done. And then from hidden doors behind the throne, more figures entered. Older, taller, their robes heavy with jewels. Their eyes glowed not with faith, but with suspicion. This, he guessed, was the High Council. One of them, a male with golden markings across his face, stepped forward. He raised his staff and spoke. A single word to Daniel. Prove. Asterisk the first test. Daniel blinked. Prove? Prove what? They shoved forward another alien, this one young, but coughing violently, his skin dull and gray instead of bright silver. The boy's family wept beside him. The council elder looked at Daniel with cold challenge. Prove? Daniel's stomach twisted. He wasn't a healer. He wasn't a doctor. He was a guy who fixed engines, not people. But dozens of glowing eyes stared at him, waiting, demanding. He crouched next to the boy, his hands shaking. Okay, buddy. Don't die on me. Let's see if lightning strikes twice. He placed his hands on the boy's back, rubbing gently, just as he had done with the woman. For a long moment, nothing happened. Sweat rolled down his forehead. The council whispered, suspicious. Then, dash light. It started small, a faint glow under his palms, then spread like wildfire. The boy gasped, color rushing back to his skin. His eyes snapped open, burning bright silver. He sat up, laughing, his family crying with joy. The crowd roared. Daniel sat back, staring at his own hands. This is insane. The rising faith. The council wasn't pleased, but the people were. News spread faster than fire. More sick were brought forward. An old soldier with broken bones. A woman too weak to stand. Each time Daniel tried. Each time the impossible happened. And with each miracle, their faith grew. They pressed their foreheads to the ground, chanting louder, calling him An-Kai. Daniel wanted to scream at them. I'm not a god. I'm just a man. But deep inside, another voice whispered, what if this is real? What if you are something special here? Asterisk the elder's shadow. As the celebration grew, one pair of eyes remained cold. The golden-marked elder did not kneel. He did not cheer. He only watched Daniel with sharp, calculating hatred. When the others were not looking, the elder turned away and spoke to his guards in hushed tones. His voice was like poison. If he is truly a god, then let us test him with something greater. If he is not, he will die. Daniel didn't hear the words, but he felt the chill in the air, the way the elder's stare burned into his back. He knew, even in that moment of cheering, that this wasn't just worship. It was politics. It was danger. And it was only the beginning. That night, Daniel lay in a chamber of crystal light, too restless to sleep. His hands still tingled. His mind raced. What the hell is happening to me? He whispered. But outside the chamber, in the dark shadows of the alien city, assassins were already gathering. Their blades gleamed. Their orders were simple. The human must not live. The worship begins. The dawn came with silver light spilling across the alien city. The towers of crystal glowed like giant lanterns, humming with energy that Daniel could feel through his bones. He hadn't slept. He hadn't even dared to close his eyes. Everywhere he turned, glowing figures bowed to him. Servants left food by his chamber door and fled before he could speak. Musicians played slow, haunting songs in the courtyards below, all dedicated to the An-Kai. Him. Daniel Hayes, ship mechanic, dropout, loser in 3 failed jobs. Now the object of an entire civilization's worship. He sat with his head in his hands. I just wanted to fix my ship. Now I've got groupies who think I control the universe. But when he looked outside again, at the thousands gathering, in the square, chanting his name, a chill ran down his spine. It wasn't just faith. It was hunger. They wanted him to save them. The procession later that morning, the woman he had first healed returned. She wore armor now, dark silver plates that shimmered like water, but her glowing eyes were softer. When they looked at him, she spoke words in her language, gestures indicating he should follow. Daniel sighed. Yeah, I get it. More bowing, more chanting. Let's go. The procession wound through the city's streets. From balconies and bridges, thousands leaned out, dropping flowers that glowed faintly like living stars. Children raised their hands toward him. Families shouted blessings he could not understand. It should have been beautiful. Instead, it terrified him, because every step he took, the weight grew heavier. These people didn't see a man. They saw a god. And gods, Daniel knew, weren't allowed to fail. The Temple of Origins at last, they brought him to a vast structure carved into the side of the mountain. Enormous pillars rose like trees, etched with glowing veins of crystal. At its center stood a great door, twice as tall as any tower, carved with ancient figures. The woman spoke again, touching her chest before pointing at him. Her eyes shone with excitement and fear. Daniel frowned. What now? Some big initiation ritual? The door opened. Inside, the air was thick, charged like the air before lightning. At the far end was an altar, and above it, a statue giant. Alien and disturbingly familiar. The statue's face was humanoid, too humanoid. Its hands stretched outward, carved in the exact position Daniel had used when he touched the woman's shoulders. His stomach turned cold. No way. That's not me. That's what the hell is that? The High Council waited in the shadows, their jeweled robes glimmering. The golden-marked elder stood at their center, his cold gaze cutting into Daniel. He lifted his staff and spoke. Our record spoke of this, the one who awakens, the bringer of life, the Fertility God. Daniel's blood froze. Fertility God? What kind of cosmic joke is this? The endless line, then came the worst part. From hidden corridors, they brought the sick. Dozens at first, then hundreds, lining up in silence. Some were weak and trembling. Others were children with hollow eyes. All of them were brought before Daniel, bowing low, whispering desperate prayers. The council gestured. Heal. Daniel wanted to run. His legs screamed at him to move. But then he saw the child in front of him, small, gasping for air, her parents kneeling beside her. Their eyes weren't filled with fear of death. They were filled with hope. He couldn't walk away, so he tried. Again, and again, and again. Each time his hands touched them, the impossible happened. Light surged through their bodies. Weakness fled. Their glowing eyes opened wide with new life. The hall echoed with sobs of joy, cheers, the sound of 1,000 hands pounding the ground in worship. By the end, Daniel was drenched in sweat, his arms trembling. He felt like he'd poured his very soul into them. And yet, the people kept coming. Cracks in the miracle. By the time night fell, Daniel collapsed onto the temple steps, his vision blurry. He couldn't heal them all. There were too many. His body ached with exhaustion, but the crowd didn't care. They pressed closer, hands reaching out, desperate for his touch. Guards forced them back, but even then, voices shouted his name, pleading for his blessing. The golden-marked elder stepped forward, sneering. A god should not tire. Daniel shot him a glare. I'm not a god. I'm a man. A very tired man. The elder smiled coldly. Then you will break. And when you do, they will see the truth. Seeds of rebellion that night. The council met in secret chambers. Most of them argued, voices rising with excitement. He is the prophecy. He has healed the empresses. Daughter, he must be protected at all costs. But the golden-marked elder only shook his head. Do you not see? He is human. Weak, mortal. If they see him bleed, their faith will shatter. And when faith shatters, so does power. He leaned close to his followers. Let us help him bleed. Asterisk the burden of a god. Daniel sat alone in his crystal chamber, staring at his hands. They glowed faintly in the dark, as though some alien spark now lived inside him. He whispered to himself, "What is happening to me? Why me? I don't want this." But outside, the city was alive with chanting. Torches lined the streets. Thousands gathered, dancing, singing, offering prayers to his name. He had never been more terrified in his life, because he realized something brutal and simple. If he stayed, he would drown under the weight of their belief. If he ran, they would hunt him as a betrayer. And either way, someone wanted him dead. In the deepest part of the temple, hidden from all eyes, the golden-marked elder placed his hand on a sealed vault. The lock hissed open, revealing a weapon not touched in centuries. A weapon humming with power that could kill even gods. He smiled in the dark. "Let us see how long the human survives." The power he didn't ask for the alien city never slept from his crystal chamber. Daniel could see the glowing towers burning through the night like giant beacons. Music echoed from distant plazas, mixed with chants of his name. The air vibrated with faith, but Daniel wasn't celebrating. He sat hunched on the balcony, staring at his trembling hands. They still glowed faintly, as if some current of alien lightning ran through his skin. He whispered into the dark, "I fix engines. I patch broken pipes. That's who I am. Not this. Not a god." But no matter how many times he said it, the city outside answered with songs of worship. The Empress at dawn, soldiers of silver armor came for him. They bowed low, treating him like fragile glass, and guided him to the grand palace. Inside, under a dome of living crystal, she was waiting. The Empress, she sat upon a throne of light, her robes flowing like liquid silver. Her presence filled the hall, even though her body looked frail, her skin pale compared to her glowing subjects. Daniel froze as her eyes met his. Unlike the others, she didn't bow. She didn't chant. She only studied him with quiet, piercing intensity. The council whispered around her, voices sharp. Show him. Let him prove himself. He must heal her as he healed the others. The Empress raised a hand, silencing them all. Then she spoke in her deep, commanding voice. "You are the An-Kai, the bringer of life. Prove it." The test of a god guards helped the Empress rise. Her legs trembled. For decades she had been infertile, her body weakening while her people prayed for renewal. And now every glowing eye in the palace turned to Daniel. He swallowed hard, his heart pounding. "If I fail here, I'm dead." He stepped forward, knees, weak, and gently placed his hands on hers. Her skin was cold, paper thin. "Please work. Please, just once more." He whispered. At first, nothing happened. His palms only shook with fear. The silence in the hall was crushing. Then light burst from his hands, racing through her arms, flooding her chest. The Empress gasped, her eyes flaring bright silver. She rose straighter, her voice breaking into laughter, deep and powerful. The council fell to their knees. The crowd outside the palace roared. Daniel stumbled back, stunned. He had just changed. The future of a civilization with nothing more than his touch. The Empress extended her hand toward him. "You are ours now. Our protector. Our God." The shadow of jealousy, but not everyone knelt. The golden-marked elder, the same man who had doubted him before, stood rigid at the edge of the hall. His glare burned with poison. Daniel saw it. The elder didn't cheer. He didn't smile. His lips curled in cold disgust. And in that moment, Daniel knew this wasn't over. That man would never let him live. The festival of worship days turned into a blur of endless ceremonies. The city overflowed with pilgrims. Entire caravans traveled across deserts and jungles to kneel before him. Sick, weak, broken, they all begged for his touch. And Daniel delivered. Every time, the same miracle. Every time, the same glow. It wasn't just healing anymore. Some of the aliens claimed they could feel new strength, their bodies renewed, their spirits sharper. The people began to build shrines to him. His face was carved into crystal walls. Children carried little statues of the human who had fallen from the sky. But with every healing, Daniel grew weaker. His body felt drained, his nights restless, haunted by visions of glowing eyes and chanting. Voices. He whispered to himself each night, I can't keep doing this. I'm only human. The first attempt one night, the attack came. Daniel woke to the sound of shattering glass. A blade whistled through the air, missing his throat by inches. Assassins. Cloaked figures with blades of black crystal swarmed into his chamber. Their eyes burned with hatred. Not faith. Daniel dove behind a pillar, heart hammering. He had no weapons, no training, no plan. The assassins closed in, and then the woman he had first healed burst through the door, blade in hand, armor shining. She fought like lightning, her strikes sharp and merciless. The assassins fell one by one, their blood glowing faintly. In the moonlight, when the last one lay still, she turned to Daniel, her face grim. They will not stop. He didn't understand her words, but he understood the truth in her eyes. This was only the beginning. The council's game, the next morning, the High Council stood divided. Some demanded more protection for the god. Others demanded tighter control. The golden-marked elder's voice cut through the chamber like a knife. Look at him. He bleeds. He fears. He is no god. He is a danger. If his power is true, then it must belong to us, not to him. The Empress silenced him with a glance, but Daniel saw the seeds of doubt spreading. Faith was powerful, but so was fear. Daniel's choice later, alone, Daniel stared at his reflection in the crystal wall, his glowing hands, his tired eyes. He whispered, They worship me. They fear me. But I'm just a man. For the first time, he wondered, maybe he couldn't go home. Maybe he was trapped here forever. The woman who had saved him entered quietly. She knelt before him, placing a hand over her chest. Her eyes burned with loyalty. He didn't know her words, but he understood the meaning. We will protect you. We believe in you. Daniel's throat tightened. He had never been needed like this before. Never been trusted. Never been powerful. But with power came the knife waiting in the dark. That night, as the city prepared for another festival, Daniel looked out across the glowing towers. For the first time, he felt the full weight of it. If he stayed, he would become a god, worshipped, hated, loved, feared. If he ran, he would be hunted, maybe forever. And somewhere in the shadows, the golden-marked elder whispered to his conspirators, The human thinks he is untouchable. Tomorrow, we prove he can die. The elder's hand rested on the forbiddens. Weapon, humming with energy. The kind of weapon that could kill even gods. The trial of the god. The city had never been so alive. Drums thundered across the crystal towers, echoing like a heartbeat. Torches burned with blue fire, lighting the plazas in ghostly glow. From every street, every bridge, every rooftop, aliens gathered in endless crowds, their silver eyes blazing with faith. But tonight wasn't celebration. Tonight was judgment. At the center of the city stood the great plaza, vast enough to hold tens of thousands. A ring of pillars surrounded it, each carved with ancient symbols of gods and heroes. And in the middle of it all, under the gaze of the twin moons, stood Daniel. Hayes, he had been dressed in robes of glowing silk, symbols etched into the fabric. To the people, he looked like a god. To himself, he felt like a prisoner about to face execution. Because tonight was the trial of the god, the accusation. The High Council stood in a semicircle at the far end of the plaza, their jeweled robes glowing like fireflies. At their center, the golden-marked elder raised his staff. His voice boomed across the plaza, amplified by crystal amplifiers. This human claims divinity. He heals. He restores. But is he truly the An-Kai of prophecy, or only a fraud who tricks our faith? The crowd roared in anger at the insult. Thousands shouted Daniel's name, but the elder silenced them with a single strike of his staff against the stone. Tonight, he will prove it. Before the Empress, before the people, before the gods. The Empress's condition guards stepped aside, and the Empress was carried forward on a throne of crystal and silver. Her glowing eyes locked on Daniel. She had recovered strength since his touch, but her face remained pale, her body still fragile. Tonight, she would demand more. She raised her hand, and the crowd fell silent. Her voice carried across the plaza, deep and commanding. Bringer of life, Fertility God, An-Kai. Tonight you will show us your truth, not by words, not by accident, but by miracle. Her gaze sharpened. You will heal me, entirely, before all who watch. If you fail, you die. The plaza shook with the sound of thousands chanting, An-Kai, An-Kai, An-Kai. Daniel's blood turned cold. The trial guards brought him to the Empress's side. The golden-marked elder stood close, watching with a predator's smile. He wanted Daniel to fail. He wanted blood. Daniel's hands trembled as he knelt before the Empress. His heart pounded so loud, drowned out the drums. I'm not a god, he whispered under his breath. I'm just a guy with grease under his fingernails. But the Empress leaned closer, her eyes burning. Then stop lying, and become what we need. Her voice was not cruel. It was desperate. She wasn't testing him for power. She was begging him for hope. Daniel closed his eyes. He pressed his hands against hers. At first, nothing. His palms were cold, his muscles weak. Sweat dripped down his brow. The elder's voice boomed. See? A trick. A fraud. But then, warmth. It started as a faint spark under his skin. Then, surged like a river of fire. Light burst from his hands, spreading into the Empress's body. She gasped, her back arching, her skin glowing brighter and brighter, until the plaza itself seemed to shine. The crowd screamed in awe. The Empress rose from her throne, standing tall, her frailty gone. Her voice boomed like thunder. He is the An-Kai. The people exploded into cheers. Thousands fell to their knees, pounding the ground, chanting his name until the air shook. Daniel stumbled back, panting, drained but alive. He had done it. He had passed their trial. Or so he thought. Betrayal. The elder's voice cut through the celebration like a blade. Lies. Tricks. A fraud wrapped in light. He raised his staff, and the ground split with a deafening crack. From beneath the plaza, hidden mechanisms awakened. A massive device rose, forged of black crystal and steel, humming with forbidden's power. The crowd gasped in horror. The Empress's eyes widened. The void cannon, she whispered. Daniel's stomach dropped. That doesn't sound friendly. The elder's smile was sharp as knives. If he is a god, let him survive this. The weapon, the cannon, roared to life, its crystal core glowing with violent purple energy. Guards shouted, people screamed, but the elder's followers held them back. Daniel stood frozen, his body drained, his mind screaming. He had no weapon, no shield, nothing. The cannon fired. A beam of raw energy tore through the air, straight at him. Instinct took over. Daniel threw up his hands, and the impossible happened. Light burst from his body, forming a barrier of silver fire. The beam struck it, shaking the plaza, cracking pillars, shattering glass. But Daniel held on, his scream mixing with the roar of energy. The barrier bent, but it did not break. The crowd fell silent in awe. Daniel collapsed to his knees. The barrier fading. Smoke rose from his hands. His chest heaved, but he was alive. Asterisk the fall of the elder, the Empress rose, her voice shaking with fury. You dare unleash Forbidden's weapons in the heart of my city? The elder tried to speak, but the crowd had turned. Their faith had hardened. They saw Daniel glowing with silver fire, shielding them all. They saw not a fraud, not a man, a god. Guards swarmed the elder. His staff was ripped from his hands. He screamed as he was dragged away, his voice echoing with curses. This human will destroy us all. He is no god. He is death itself. But the crowd drowned him out with chants of Daniel's name. The burden that night, the city burned with celebration. Fires lit the skies, drums thundered, and chants shook the mountains. But Daniel sat alone in his chamber, staring at his hands. He had survived the trial. He had stopped a weapon with nothing but willpower and fear, and that terrified him more than anything else. What's happening to me? He whispered. This isn't normal. I'm not normal anymore. The woman who had saved him before entered. Silently, she knelt beside him, her eyes filled with awe and loyalty. She touched his hand, unafraid, on Kai. He shook his head. No, not a god, just a man. But deep inside, he wasn't sure anymore. Asterisk far across the mountains, in hidden ruins forgotten by time, the golden-marked elder knelt before a shadowy figure. The figure's voice was cold, inhuman. So, the human has awakened. The elder bowed low. Yes, but if he is a god, then we shall raise something greater, something older. The figure's eyes glowed in the darkness. Then let the true war begin. Betrayal in the temple. The temple bells rang at midnight, deep and mournful. Their sound rolled across the crystal towers like thunder. To the people, it was a call to worship. To Daniel Hayes, it felt like a warning. He sat alone in the high temple chamber, staring at the glowing patterns carved into the walls. His body ached from the trial. His hands still burned faintly with silver light. He hadn't eaten, hadn't slept. All he could hear was the echo of the elder's voice. He is death itself. Daniel whispered to himself. Maybe he was right. Maybe I'm not saving them. Maybe I'm changing them. The city outside chanted his name. Yet inside, Daniel felt nothing like a god. He felt like prey. Asterisk the shadows moved that night. The loyal woman, his protector, stood guard outside his chamber. Her silver armor gleamed faintly in the torchlight, her blade at her side. The golden-marked elder had been thrown into prison after the trial, but his voice still reached through the bars. His loyalists still obeyed Dot, and tonight they would kill the human god. The first strike Daniel woke to the sound of shattering glass. Again, his chest tightened with fear, his body jolting upright. He wasn't surprised anymore. He'd been waiting for this. Figures swarmed through the broken windows, blades glinting. Their movements were silent, precise, like assassins trained for years. Daniel stumbled back. Not again. Before the first blade could strike, his protector was already there. She moved like fire and lightning, her sword flashing, her shield deflecting. 2 assassins fell instantly, their bodies scattering glowing blood across the floor, but more poured in. 10, 20, 30. Too many. Daniel grabbed a fallen staff, swinging wildly, trying to keep them back. He wasn't a fighter, but adrenaline carried him. A blade slashed his arm. He cried out, stumbling. Then it happened again. His blood hit the floor and glowed. The assassins froze for a heartbeat, staring at the strange silver sparks hissing from the wound. Daniel looked down, horrified. His blood wasn't red anymore. It shimmered with light. The rebellion ignites. The noise of battle drew the city awake. Bells rang in alarm. Guards rushed into the temple. clashing with rebels already inside. This wasn't just an assassination. It was a rebellion. All across the city, fires erupted. Loyalists of the Elder lit torches, smashing shrines of Daniel's likeness, shouting curses. A faithful clashed with them in the streets, silver against silver. The city that once sang his name was now a battlefield. And Daniel, in the center of it, was bleeding light. The elders whisper as the fighting raged. Daniel stumbled deeper into the temple, clutching his glowing wound. His protector followed, cutting down attackers with furious skill. They reached the inner sanctum and froze. The golden-marked elder was there, not in chains, not a prisoner. He stood at the altar, free, cloaked in shadows. Guards lay dead at his feet. His smile was cruel. Did you think a god could cage me? No, I walk where I please. Daniel's protector raised her blade, but the elder lifted a hand. Black crystal shards rose from the ground, swirling into a weapon that hummed with dark power. His eyes burned with hate. Look at him. Look at his blood. Already he is no man. Already he is something else. And when his light consumes him, when it consumes all of you, remember who warned you. The duel of faith the elder attacked. Shards of black crystal screamed through the air, slamming into pillars, shattering walls. Daniel ducked, stumbling, his wound glowing brighter. His protector charged, her blade clashing against the elder's. Weapon in a storm of sparks. Daniel's chest heaved. He felt weak, drained. But with every breath, he also felt something else. A heat building inside him. Like a storm ready to break out, the elder sneered. Yes, feel it, human. Feel the power eating you alive. Another shard flew, striking Daniel across the chest. He fell back, gasping. But instead of pain, a wave of energy ripped through him. His vision went white. When he blinked again, the shards embedded in his skin were melting into light. The crowd of rebels who had followed the elder into the temple froze. For the first time, their faith cracked out. The human wasn't dying. The human was burning brighter. The turning point, Daniel rose slowly, his body glowing with silver fire. His wound had sealed. His blood hissed like sparks on stone. He raised a hand, and the assassins nearest him were thrown back by a wave of invisible force. The entire temple gasped. Daniel's voice shook, both with fear and fury. I didn't ask for this. I didn't want this. But if you keep coming for me, the walls trembled with the weight of his words. Then I will finish this. The rebels faltered. Some dropped their blades. The elder's smile turned into a snarl. You see, he is no god. He is a weapon, a monster. But his words were drowned out by the roar of the faithful rushing into the temple, rallying around Daniel, their chants shaking the crystal pillars. An-Kai, An-Kai, An-Kai. Elder escapes. The elder's fury turned cold. He knew he had lost this battle. With a final strike of his weapon, he collapsed part of the wall, blocking Daniel's path. He vanished into the smoke, his voice echoing through the ruins. You may fool them now, human, but I will return with truth. And when I do, your own power will destroy you. Aftermath. The fires were put out by dawn. The rebellion was crushed, but the scars of the night remained. Streets were lined with broken shrines, cracked crystal, and the wounded? Daniel sat on the temple steps, his body trembling. The people bowed before him, whispering prayers of thanks. His protector knelt at his side, silent, her eyes filled with both awe and worry. But Daniel couldn't hear their faith. He could only hear his own heartbeat, pounding with a terrifying question. What am I becoming? Far beyond the city, in a cavern of endless dark, the golden-marked elder knelt before the shadowy figure again. This time, the figure stepped into the light. Its body was enormous, scaled, its eyes burning with an ancient fire dot. It spoke in a voice that shook the stones. The human glows with our lost power. He is not a god. He is a key. The elder bowed low, trembling. Then show me how to break him. The creature's teeth curved into a cruel smile. With pleasure. The human god, the world burned. From the highest crystal tower, Daniel Hayes looked out at the horizon. The alien skies, once glowing with peace, were now split by fire and war. Villages burned. Caravans fled. The elders' rebellion had not died. It had grown. But this was no simple uprising. They weren't just fighting with blades and torches anymore. They had something older, something darker, and it was coming for him. The Omen, the Empress, stood beside Daniel on the balcony, her robes torn, her eyes grim. She was strong again, healed by his touch, but her voice carried heavy dread. The elder has awakened what was never meant to rise. An ancient force from before a history. A god older than gods. Daniel's throat tightened. And let me guess, it wants me? She nodded once. You carry the light. The same light our ancestors lost. To them, you are a god. But to it, you are a key. Daniel gripped the railing, his hands glowing faintly, even without willing it. His blood had changed. His body hummed with energy that no human should carry. I'm not a key, he muttered. I'm not a god. I'm just... His voice broke. I'm just me. But the war drums outside the city walls said otherwise. The first strike at gone, the attack began. The elders' forces poured across the plains, banners of black crystal raised high. Behind them, the earth itself shook as something massive moved in the distance. The city's defenders rallied at the walls, their silver blades flashing. The air burned with tension. Daniel stood at the gate, his protector at his side. She looked at him, her glowing eyes steady, her hand brushing his arm. She didn't speak, but her meaning was clear. If you fall, we fall with you. He tried to smile, but his stomach churned. The gates opened. The battle began. The battlefield, the clash was chaos. Silver against black, faith against rebellion. The ground shook with every strike, the air alive with screams and chants. Daniel fought at the front, swinging a blade for the first time in his life. He wasn't trained, but every time an enemy's weapon came near, his body reacted. Light flared. Shields of energy forming instinctively. The rebels screamed in fear as his hands blazed with silver fire. He struck back, not with skill, but with raw power, waves of light throwing them aside. But no matter how many fell, more came. The elder's voice rang out over the battlefield, amplified by strange machines. He is no god. He is a weapon. And I will prove it when the true god arrives. The ancient awakens, the ground split. From the horizon, a shadow rose. Bigger than mountains, its body was scales and smoke, its eyes like suns of fire. Its roar shook the sky, scattering clouds like dust. The soldiers froze. Even the Empress went pale. The elder knelt before it, arms raised. Behold, the firstborn, the god before gods. Daniel's chest locked. His legs wanted to run. But there was nowhere to go. The creature's eyes turned to him. And in a voice that wasn't sound but thunder in his skull, it spoke. You carry our stolen spark. Return it, or be unmade. The breaking point. Daniel stumbled back, shaking his head. No, I didn't steal anything. I don't even know why this is happening. The creature's laugh rolled across the battlefield, cruel and ancient. Then you are even more foolish than the ones who worship you. You are a man wearing fire that was never yours. And fire burns. Its massive hand swept across the field, knocking soldiers, friend and foe alike, flying like insects. The city walls cracked. Towers fell. Daniel's protector dragged him aside, shouting words he didn't understand. Her eyes begged him, "Do something. Anything." His body trembled, the silver light in his veins boiling. His hands burned. His chest felt like it would explode. He dropped to his knees, whispering, "I'm not a god. I'm not a god." But deep inside, another voice whispered back, "Then become one." The choice, the Empress staggered forward, her robe torn, her voice hoarse. "An-Kai, you are no longer only human. You are more. If you do not accept it, we all die." Daniel's vision blurred. He saw the faces of the people, the sick he had healed, the children who carried statues of him, the soldiers who fought believing he was hope itself. And he saw the elder, smiling in the shadow of the monster, waiting for him to fail. His fists clenched, his body shook. The silver light surged until it poured from his skin in streams of fire. He rose, his voice steady at last. "Fine. You want a god?" The battlefield fell silent. "You've got one." The battle of gods, the ancient creature roared, charging forward. Daniel let it strike head-on. His body exploded with light, his hands catching the monster's claws, holding them back as the ground cracked beneath him. The crowd gasped. The Empress wept. The elder screamed, "No, it cannot be." Daniel shoved with all his strength, silver fire wrapping around him like armor. His voice boomed across the battlefield. "I am not your weapon. I am not your key. I am not your god." He punched forward, a blast of pure energy erupting from his fists, slamming into the creature's chest. It staggered, roaring in pain. "I am human." Another strike. Another blast of silver fire. And that is enough. The final blast tore through the creature's chest. Its roar turned to a scream as its body cracked, shattered, and collapsed into smoke and ash. Silence followed. Then the people screamed. His name, An-Kai. An-Kai. The elders and the elder stumbled back, his faith shattered, his rebellion broken. Guards seized him, dragging him to the Empress. Daniel walked forward, his body still glowing faintly, his eyes burning. With power. The elder spat at him. "You are a curse. You will destroy us all." Daniel looked down at him, his voice quiet but firm. "No, I'm done destroying." The elder was dragged away, screaming until his voice was lost in the crowd's chants. The human god as dawn broke. The battlefield lay silent. The ancient creature was gone. The rebellion crushed. The people bowed, chanting his name with tears in their eyes. The Empress knelt before him, her voice breaking. "You are no fraud. You are no monster. You are our God." Daniel shook his head slowly. His body still glowed, but his voice was calm. "No, I'm not a god. I'm a man, a human. And if I can fight for you, then maybe humanity has a place in this galaxy after all." The people roared. The city lit up with celebration. But Daniel only looked at his glowing hands, his heart heavy. He had won. But he knew the elder's words still lingered. Fire burns. And one day, it might burn him too. A glimpse beyond, far away, in the ruins of the fallen monster, something stirred. A spark of black fire. A whisper, ancient and cruel. The human is strong, but he is only the beginning. The galaxy shivered. And Daniel Hayes, the man who became a god, had no idea his war had only just begun.